oh, I'm focused on my dream. When in reality, we're distracting ourselves from our destiny. They're two totally different things.
This next one is dear to my heart, and I appreciate that Moose gave this. So Big Sean did a recent interview hiking on Complex, right? And pretty much spoke about his mental health and the theme of burnout. And that has been a really huge, important part of my life as far as both mental health and experiencing burnout. So this is what he had to say.
The mentality, like where we come from, like you from Houston, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm from Detroit, so it's like when you come from cities like that, where it's rare for people to get a chance in life, especially when you black. The mentality is like, oh, you gotta stay on their necks, you gotta keep going, you gotta keep going. But I was burning myself out because even when I would put the work in the studio and do what I had to do, it was like, even when I was out of there, I was still thinking about it. I wasn't really enjoying myself. I just was kind of like, it was always work.
So, let me tell you this. Burnout is a real situation. And especially in the environment that maybe some of us, or maybe majority of us who are listening are in, it's that grind. Sleep is for suckers. I'll sleep when I die kind of situation, and just go on and go on. And you never really know when the end is even near.
Right.
And I had to sit back probably a few months ago and really think about, like, yo, is this really life? Like, where did I get this from? Where did I get this mentality of go come from? Because if we think about it, like, it's only good for what? I'm not really sure what it's good for. Like, you grind and you get certain success. He said, yo, I had all the cars, I had the house in Beverly Hills, I had everything. Bought my mom a house, everything. I got everything.
Yeah.
I was unhappy because I'm still going as hard, but I have everything. Now, it sucks that certain cultures or certain mindsets, when you reach a certain success and maybe you coast a bit, and then you're getting complacent, then you're getting comfortable, then you're like, but what are you grinding to do if you reached everything? Like, at what point will you enjoy what you have? At what point will you reflect on the things that's been done? Like, it could cause so many, that kind of grind can not only mess with you mentally, but it messes with relationships as well, because now you don't have time for anything else. So you're going and you're so concentrated on the career and the brand and the business, and that's what you're going for. And you kind of lose track of just real life and what's happening in real life. And so now you're disconnected, which instantly makes you feel alone. Like, no one else knows this grind. No one else knows what I'm going through. Well, because you just started to isolate yourself, because you went from, okay, maybe I somewhat live a normal life, or whatever normal is to you, right? And then somewhere in your mind, you thought normal was comfortable and you thought normal was not for you. And so you started going and creating your own world, which then isolates you from the people you may know. Now, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that's a bad thing because, you outgrow people, right?
Yeah.
But doing that alone, just breaking that down, you have now become a low-key introvert. Low-key, right? By yourself, grinding, boom. And you can only connect with people who are grinding. Woo, 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 right? Now, so that made it to even smaller percentage of people, right? And how do y'all talk? Y'all grinding. How do y'all talk? Where do y'all talk at? I'm kind of confused, right? So it's I hear what he says, and it's funny because we hear that, the rich people always say, having all this money, they don't have the happiness, but they're rich. Like, if they were broke, they wouldn't be saying that. But if it is a common theme, time and time again, how ignorant are you going to continue to sound to say, well, let them be broke, or that's because they have money, they could say that. Like, it's a common theme when you get to a certain point of success, and it doesn't even have to deal with money sometimes. When you deal with a certain kind of success, it's not all cracked up to be at all. When are people going to believe that?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And, I think what's funny is that for some of us, the story we tell ourselves is, oh, I'm focused on my dream. When in reality, we're distracting ourselves from our destiny. There are two totally different things. Right? So like when you're grinding toward,
you're not gonna speed past that. Like, you didn't just say what you just said.
Yep, that was good.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, as I think about it, it's like, the stories we tell ourselves, oh, I'm working hard, I'm sacrificing, I'm doing all this stuff because, like you said, work now, sleep when I die, like all this. And it's true to some extent. Yeah, you need a level of sacrifice. You need to be on your game. You need to be on point. So the story that we tell ourselves, we justify some of these unhealthy habits because we tell ourselves, no, but I'm doing it for the sake of my dream.
Right.
But I think when we become one-sided in our approach, where we're just focused on the dream, what we miss out on is really figuring out who we are in the process. And that's that destiny part, right? So the only time ultimate happiness is achieved is when you have the dream and destiny, meaning like, I have accomplished, I have manifested the thing that I was after, but at the same time, I was also able to discover myself in the process. And I know that I have some of these material things. I have the money, the access, the relationship, all these things. But at the end of the day, I know that my value doesn't come from that. Now, that's the principle behind it. We know that that's what it is. But when you get there, especially fast, or you're the first in your family to do it, we think that, oh no, that wouldn't be me. Like that won't affect me. Until you get there, you can't speak to that experience. Like to wake up one day and see that you got 100 million in the bank and you're like, okay, hold up. But what, for some of us, it could be a guilty feeling. Like I can't tell you, every time I'm in a restaurant, because I'm someone who came from the hospitality industry, every time I'm in the restaurant, I have some level of remorse. Because I'm like, dang, I see so-and-so at, a waiter or a waitress or this or that. And I'm like, dang, that was me. Like, who am I trying to kid? Like, who am I trying to fool? I'm not going to fool myself. I know exactly what my upbringing was and kind of what type of experience I had to at least create a way out for me. So I still have some level of remorse. So I'm fortunate that there's still time to keep unraveling that, right? To work through those emotions. So I think that we got to really be careful with the stories that we tell ourselves, because we can be so focused on the dream, again, not ever really realizing that we're distracting ourselves from our destiny, which is that concept of figuring out who we are, getting to the money and being okay with it because we know it doesn't define us. So it's an interesting dialogue, man, and it's definitely easier said than done.
Yeah, and from a being super transparent kind of vibe. Just seeing firsthand what grinding so much can do. Like from a personal standpoint, I've seen my dad like work so much that he wasn't even around, you know?
Mm.
And the problem with that whole grinding thing, not only from a yourself and a mental standpoint, you don't know how it affects others.
Yeah.
You know, you don't
That's good, yeah.
understand how by your presence being somewhere else, how it could affect the people who are closest to you. And so now it causes other issues for them, whether of doubt of, yo, do you not want to be around? Or, almost feeling abandoned, like, yo, you left, like you rarely came around. And that's a deeper issue that people don't even realize. Like, you may just see it from a surface level, as far as the grind. And then now you're indirectly teaching people to do the same thing. And so here I am, totally disconnected from my dad, but then I realized I gained the same grind and work ethic to where I even lost a marriage because of how much that I had grinded. And I had to look back and be like, yo, I am my father's child. The same thing that I was complaining so much about, I have become. And you have to really sit down and be like, that cycle has to be balanced. I wouldn't necessarily
Right.
say stop, because clearly there are goals to still be met, and there still has to be a level of work ethic that has to be, in place. But there has to be a better balance than grind, and people who don't understand will get lost. Like it's not, once certain things happen, it's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it. Not from a who you could affect and what it can do to your life. Personally, I said this, and shout out to Sarah Lovestyle, who was on the who was on our podcast early. We had a conversation, like the strongest people, what it looks like to be the strongest people on social media, that have it all together business wise, articles out, everything like that, are probably crumbling personally. Probably. And we've seen it time and time again, whether it's female, male, doesn't matter. And that cycle has to stop. Like there has to be a balance of, I work hard business wise and I work hard personal wise, and it in between makes me happy. But there is a
Right.
disconnect, and what we think will give us happiness, which is the money and the success, doesn't necessarily based off patterns that we've seen with people who do have it. So before you continue to kill yourself over and over and over again for what we've seen on TV and what we've seen some of our favorite celebrities and influencers get, really tap in and pay attention to their language, pay attention to how sometimes they go ghost, and that's the balance that they have. Like we know Jay-Z and Beyonce go ghost multiple times. I believe they have great balance now, maybe before.
Yeah.
And there's always seasons, there's seasons of, I gotta grind. Absolutely. Make that a season, literally, not a forever thing. Don't make that the long game. Make that a season.
Yeah. No, that's a good word. Yeah, because I know that, you and I are not necessarily speaking to, hey, like, don't focus on your work or use this as an excuse to be able to slack off. That's not the discussion, but I think it's really a reminder again to work on yourself just as much as you work on your business, just as much as you work on your brand. Because I think it's it's not fun to get to a place seeing that other pieces of you are not ready enough to keep you there, right? To maintain what you've worked so hard to accomplish. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a serious discussion, and I think the more we speak on it, prayerfully people can be more receptive to the idea and start to see like, okay, can I be trusted with the treasure? Like, can I be the right person who I'm not getting what I want, not because I don't deserve it, not because I'm not talented enough, but really because I just got some inner workings to do. Mm-hmm. And instead of being on the other side of it, like one of those people, and I think you and I spoke about it a few times, but I've been saying a lot to a lot of my friends, like, yo, I'm actually really proud of Justin Bieber. And it's like, yo, really? Like, you're gonna say that?
Yeah, you didn't have
publicly?
that. You didn't have that conversation with me.
No, but I think for me, like, I'm watching his growth and his bounce back to see someone, and he had a few documentaries out on, I think, YouTube, just to see how this man literally rose to fame so quick at 15, almost lost it all, and was able to gain back control. And most of his work was on himself. Like, for him to kind of bounce back, it was self-work. It wasn't his voice. It wasn't any of these other things that, he needed to become famous or known. It was working on himself, his spirituality, the whole nine. So for me, I'm like, yo, you got to respect that, whether you appreciate the music or not. I definitely think he's one of those people that you got to appreciate for the way he's bounced back and is now carrying himself, at a very high and consistent level.
Big facts.